Welcome to Beyond the Game, More Stories. This podcast where we explore the lessons sports teach us about life, leadership, adversity, and growth long after the final whistle blows. I'm your host, Dwayne Lightfoot Jr. On this show, we sit down with athletes, coaches, parents, and leaders just to have real conversations about the moments that shape us, the different challenges we go through, the victories, the setbacks, and the experiences that stay with us long after the scoreboard goes dark. All right, well, let's jump into today's episode of Beyond the Game, More Stories. Today's guest is someone who has built his life around the game of basketball, from playing the game to grinding through every role on a coaching staff, now leading one of college basketball's historic programs. He's a graduate of Butler University, where he began his coaching career while still in college, moving through nearly every position in the profession, from high school coach to graduate assistant, junior college assistant, video coordinator, and eventually Division I assistant coach. His path eventually led him to Xavier University, where he spent more than a decade helping build one of the most successful eras in the program's history. During that time, he was a part of 9 NCAA tournament teams, including multiple Sweet 16 runs, and helped guide the program to their Big East regular season championships. In 2018, he was promoted to become the 18th head coach in Xavier history, leading the Musketeers to multiple postseason appearances and compiling 70 wins in 4 seasons as the head coach. Now, he serves as head coach at Miami University in Ohio, where this past season he led the Red Hawks through a historic regular season, finishing undefeated, a rare accomplishment that speaks to the discipline, belief, and buy-in he's focused on building his programs around. So today we get to go beyond the X's and O's and hear the stories behind the journeys, the lessons the game has taught him, and the philosophy that continues to shape his approach. So please help me welcome Coach Travis Steele to the podcast. T. Steele, welcome to the podcast, my brother. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dwayne. Thanks for having me on.
Man, I appreciate you doing this. I know it's been a long time. We met back 2000. I don't know if I ever shared this story with you. I committed long before I even made my official visit to Butler, but I made my official visit the summer before I actually came up on campus, and I learned about you before I even knew you. I was out to dinner with head coach Coach Mata, the assistant coach John Gross, and a couple of the players. We were at that whatever that Italian restaurant was downtown Indianapolis. That gives you it's Buca di Beppo. That's what it was called. And the assistant coach John Gross gets a phone call, and all of a sudden he's like, "I can't hear, yada yada," and he's like, "Turn your music down." And he's like, he hangs up the phone. He was like, "Sorry, that was my brother. He rides around and he's got all this loud music in his car." And I will never forget it was an Explorer, right?
Yeah.
I will never forget the Explorer, and you could always hear Travis coming down Sunset. So, yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah, man. A lot younger. Bodies felt a lot better, but again, so I appreciate you, man. We've known each other for over half our lives now, man, and you've been somebody that was very important to me during my time at Butler. And I've always kind of kept up with you ever since then. And I still have some of the memorabilia that you and I acquired back in those days. So, but yeah, no. But I do appreciate you taking the time to do this, man. But the way the podcast works, I know we kind of talked offline, but the way I do everything here is my podcast. I want to focus on the person, not just the coach, not just the player, the athlete, anything. I want to set the table for everybody listening. So if somebody were to only know you from the highlights, I know we talked and everybody learned a lot more about you this season. There was a Speedo incident. So everybody got to know Travis Steele a lot this season with everything that you and your team was doing. But can you start by telling me something that just not everybody in the audience would know, or people who didn't follow the team, about what it took to get you where you're at today?
Yeah, number one, just extremely blessed, obviously, to be in the position I'm in. A lot of people have helped me along the way Dwayne, to get to this point,
Hmm.
right? And hopefully I can pay it forward to other people, right? When they're younger, because when you're young, when you're at those ages, when I was listening to the music and real loud in the car, you hear me coming down Sunset, you think you have all the answers,
Hmm.
right? And until you realize you know very very little, about life at that point. And whether it's my brother, you mentioned John Gross, whether it's Thad Matta, Sean Miller, Chris Mack during my time at Xavier, whether it was Kelvin Sampson at Indiana, Steve Woody at Ben Davis High School gave me my first opportunity ever. I mean, there's just been so many people that have played that have helped me get the opportunities that I've had, and I've learned so much from all those guys, right? And I think the one thing that you do learn is I've been, like I said, super blessed to be around some of the best coaches in the business, but I can't be Kelvin Sampson. I can't be Thad Matta. I can't be my brother. I have to be Travis Steele. And I think that that's been, if you try to be somebody else other than you, I think players can see right through that it's not authentic. Maybe it's probably the best way to put it. And for me, man, I just, I love life. I live life to the fullest every single day, man. My
Hmm.
approach has really changed, honestly, probably since my Xavier experience where I got fired. It was kind of like, man, it was a shock factor, Dwayne. You never think it's going to be you, right? Until it's you. um, and at that point, man, I just kind of said, you know what? I'm going to live life exactly how I want to live it. I'm going to be me unapologetically. And if that's people don't like that, then people don't like it. I'm not for
Hmm.
everybody, right? I'm not going to try to please people. I'm going to please myself and my family and the people that I truly care about, my circle, which I try to keep really, really tight. Um, so my perspective's really changed with that experience, and I think that's allowed me to become a better coach and even a better person uh, through that. I think sometimes those valleys are really where you kind of find yourself.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
not at the peaks, right? It's kind of the valleys, and that experience really really helped kind of shape my life in a lot of ways.
Yeah, and I've always said that I feel like you can learn more from a loss than a win, because you can kind of see, what do we need to fix. We always definitely want to win,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
sometimes, we have to take some of those lessons we're going to get. So you mentioned Coach Woody at Ben Davis kind of gave you your start. I met
yeah,
Travis as the former player. Would come in the gym, would tell people he could still outshoot him. We'd go in the gym, we pull out the machine, we shoot at nights. During our freshman year.
yep,
But again, like I said, you started out your career as a student manager, but then over those next few years, you end up taking that role at Ben Davis as the assistant varsity coach, literally while you were still in taking classes at Butler. I remember those nights where you come into the Resco computer lab and try to get some work done late at nights, but kind of while fulfilling both of those responsibilities. You're earning your degree in business, graduating cum laude. So again, you did really good with your academics and everything. But what did that teach you about the balance of time management and the importance of it as you went through those experiences?
yeah. I think sometimes, Dwayne, it's easier to be different than to be better. And what I mean by that is uh, there's only 365, I think, or 364 Division One schools in the country. I had a clear goal at that moment of what I wanted to do. I wanted to coach college basketball. I wanted to be a head coach at the Division One level. There's only 360 some odd jobs in the entire world. So it's like,
Mhm.
and everybody wants those jobs. So how do you separate yourself from the pack? So what I decided was I was like, you know what? I got to think differently than everybody else. I'm not this big name basketball player I'm not Bobby Hurley or Steve Wojciechowski or, you know, uh, someone, I don't have a Jason Kidd. So I'm like, you know what? I got to be different. And I was like, man, can I get ahead, coach high school basketball, get some experience, and then start to carve my own niche a little bit in the business while I'm in school. at the same time so that maybe I can get ahead, right? I was trying to figure out ways to how could I get ahead, and it was an incredible experience, man. I mean, like I learned very quickly, Dwayne. You know this from being you were a really good player. It's like players crave people that will invest in them. They'll respect those that invest in them, that will go the extra mile to develop them. And they crave organization. If they feel like you have an organized plan of what you're doing development wise, because that's what I quickly figured out of Ben Davis. It's like, man, Steve Woody's a legendary coach in the state of Indiana, right? Like he's one of the best coaches I've ever been around. And for me, I was like, you know what? I'm going to kind of carve out a niche of player development. That's what I was super passionate about. I was like, I'll spend the extra hours in the gym with whatever hours it takes to help these young men get better. And I'm going to have a real plan for these guys. So that was kind of my niche there. I learned that very early. Now, it did take away a lot of my hours to have like social life in college, not going to lie. Because either I was coaching AAU on the weekends and I was coaching high school, and it was just like, man, like it was like having a full-time job almost while taking class. And so I maybe didn't get the social experience in college, but it really helped propel me, I thought, career-wise. That experience at Ben Davis and coaching with Indiana Elite and with what's now Indy Heat, what's Spiece, Gym Rats, like that really, really, really helped pave my way into college, and just the experience I got, man, was just incredible. You know, like at a young age, I got to work with some really talented young dudes that were hungry, and man, it was so impactful. And honest to God, I could have coached after coaching high school basketball, Dwayne. I would have been happy coaching high school moving forward.
Hmm.
Like I loved coaching high school basketball. I loved it because I loved seeing guys maybe get an opportunity to go D1 to a D2 school or a junior college, like get a scholarship and get a free education. Like that made me feel really, really, really good. Hopefully, I played a very, very small part in helping them get there. So it really opened my eyes that, man, listen, I want to coach college, but it's not like the end all be all for me, right?
Right.
Like I loved coaching high school.
Yeah. No, and it's funny to hear you say it that way because I'm old enough to remember that you're actually from Danville, which is in Kentucky, correct?
No, you know what? So there's multiple Indiana,
There's a Danville
Danville,
in Indiana.
Indiana. Yeah, which is a smaller town, about probably 30 minutes west of Indy,
Okay.
maybe 40 minutes west of Indy.
All right.
Um,
Because I was gonna say you're talking about these legendary coaches in Indiana. You're supposed to be a Kentucky kid with me, you know. So,
hey, hey,
but no, but
Indiana, Kentucky, man. You
we
know,
we
like,
beef. Yeah, we definitely beef. So, but no, but I think your journey is a really one that I think a lot of people should understand because you wanted to start at that grassroots level. You were willing to not, you knew where you wanted to go ultimately, but it didn't mean that was where you had to start. And I think that's a lesson that a lot of the kids have to understand these days, especially the ones playing sports. You said your dream was D1 coach. Every kid, their dream is to go D1. But
yeah,
you may, especially with the way that college basketball and everything is going now, you may not be able to start there. You got to understand there is a process to it. Like I said, you started off as a high school assistant coach with that emphasis on the player development, and I think that helped build who you are now, how you lead now, how you develop your players, and it's just as you mentioned, you got the opportunity to work with some really good hungry kids. You started with like I said, Ed Spiece, and that gave you the opportunity to just kind of see basically where the AAU game is now. You've kind of seen that entire evolution of it, right? Now
yep,
you went from coaching in it, you went to now you're recruiting in it, and as we talked about, you got a son kind of going through that same journey right now. Like again, I
yeah.
got my son going through the same thing. So if you think back to just kind of early on when you started off coaching at Speeds, the Gym Rats, you had the top talent. I remember you were one of the first ones to tell me about Greg Oden. Tell me
Yep.
about Mike Conley. These were names that you told me about, when we're sitting there 2001 in high school or in college. But nowadays, like we said, the AAU game is different, different goals, different exposure, much more teams. We talked about how a lot of the development is not necessarily in the game with every team. But as a coach, how do you approach AAU from a recruiting standpoint, and what should this generation of kids coming up playing AAU kind of be focusing on as they go through this journey?
Yeah, I think number one, and it's so difficult, I think, for young people, and it's difficult for adults too. We all play the comparison game,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, why does Johnny getting recruited, or he's ranked, or he's got that offer from Florida or wherever, and it's like, man, like nobody cares. Like it is such a long race. I mean, it really is. It is a marathon
Mhm.
with kids coming up, and I just think the biggest thing to focus on, rather than recruiting, rather than winning, losing, all that, like, is, man, are you getting better? Or are you not getting better? Can you put yourself in positions to where you can challenge yourself, make yourself uncomfortable, and get better? There's we, like, because so many of these AAU, like even at the youth level, right? Like they just play every weekend.
Yeah.
6 games, 7 games, 8 games in a weekend. And it's like, and you'll have some teams winning by 60 points.
Hmm.
Nobody's getting better doing that. There's not enough teaching going on, in my opinion. Um, so I think be obsessed with development, and don't push it on your kids too much, because I think the more you push it, because I think so many as a parent, you want to like, you got to let the kid figure it out.
Right. Yeah. And that's
That's
something that
where,
I try to do. Like I don't I'm not somebody you've been there, you've seen my journey. I'm not somebody
yeah.
who's trying to chase it still.
Yep.
I don't want my kids' journey to be mine. I'm not trying to vicariously live through them. This is your opportunity. You do with it, how you want. I'm not expecting you to be me. I'm not expecting you to do what I did or do more. I'm expecting you, like you said, this is your opportunity. You do with it what it is you want. I can't put that pressure on you because that's not fair to you.
And the more you force it, I think, as a parent, the more that young man will ultimately pull away
Hmm.
long term. They just won't like it as much, that sport.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think playing as many sports as possible when you're young is a great thing.
Hmm.
I think don't specialize till you're later. That'd be my opinion. And then let them figure it out. When they want to work at it, man, you'll know. And that's when things really start clicking, right? And because we all know the separators at the end of the day are discipline, who can do it every day, the work at the and the work ethic. Though,
Hmm.
listen, there's a lot of talented young men and young ladies throughout the country, all the women's sports. Man, there's so many talented people, but who can be consistent with their approach, disciplined every day? Who can make the sacrifices? Like you said it earlier, there's a lot of people. Hey, want to go D1. I want to be a Division I basketball player. Well, do you know what all that entails? The sacrifices that it's going to take to get there.
Yeah.
Man, that's hard, because there's a lot of talented people out there. Like we're recruiting. Even it's funny as you go out and watch AAU, and I like to see kids playing AAU, and I like to see them play in high school, because they are very different settings. And I think
Hmm.
it's important to see both. And, but like, there's just so much talent that you can become, like, as a college coach, I always say, sometimes you can, you, you can turn a blind eye on the other things that really matter and impact winning, right?
Hmm.
Because talent is part of the equation, but it's not the equation. It's character matters, work ethic matters. How, do you compete? Do they play to win, or are they just trying to collect stats? Right, like so
Hmm.
many people, all the parents, and shoot, I've been guilty of this too before, Dwayne. It's like, how many points? I'd ask Winston after, if I didn't go to his game, how many points you scored? Oh, it's like, dude, no. I said, why? So I told my wife from now on, Amanda, I was like, hey, listen, we cannot ever ask that question, because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who scores. It's, hey, did you play hard? Right? Were you a
Hmm.
great teammate? Or did you have fun? Right? Those three
Right.
things are more important than ever. And like, there's so many ways to impact winning. You can run the floor, you can cut, you can dive on the floor, you can defend, rebound, talk on defense. I mean, as you know, I mean, like, there's a million things that go into winning.
Hmm.
And scoring such a small part of it, but it is the one thing that is glorified since you're young, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so when we get kids here, we have to break them of that. We look for kids that value the things that win,
Right.
right? We always
Yeah.
say winners win, and there's a reason why, because they know how to impact winning rather than just scoring, if that makes sense. Dwayne, honestly, that's how you played. I
Yeah.
mean, you
Well,
were a stat sheet stuffer,
yeah,
right?
and
Like
that
you did
that
everything.
that makes sense. It and it's. I had a conversation with one of the kids at the tournament I went to this past weekend. He didn't play for the AAU team that my son was on, but he plays for another team that I know. And I missed one of his games, and I said, "Hey, how'd your game go?" He said, "Oh, we didn't win." I said, "Okay, well, how'd you play?" First thing out of his mouth, "Oh, I had 15 points."
See,
But
telling
what
you.
else?
Yeah,
So yeah. And that's just that is like you said, it's what's glorified, and it's how kids these days determine if they play good or not based on how many
yeah,
times the ball went in the basket.
because you can play really well and just not shoot well. A couple of them
Hmm.
fall in. You could play a really good game, and as you know, and it's like, hey, I just missed a few shots, but I played good defense. I was in help side. I was contesting everything. I was blocking out. I was running the floor. I made a couple great screens. I
Hmm.
had like got my teammates open. Like there's just so many different ways to impact the game, and when young people understand that, oh, it's like, man, it's almost like it's like a revelation.
Yeah,
To be quite
and you
frank.
mentioned it. Yeah, and you saw it. Yeah, there are certain things that you can do in a game that aren't even going to show up in the stat book. You
Yep.
mentioned running the floor. I may run this lane, and all of a sudden, because I run this lane, the back defender that got back, he may come to me, and now Darnell Archie's wide open on the wing for a three. I'm not
Yep.
going to get a stat for that,
Yep.
but it helps the team and it benefits the team. I may be the one that blocks out to keep their best rebounder off the boards, and now Brandon Miller gets a rebound or Joel
That's
gets a rebound.
exactly right.
So it's things that don't always show up in the stats. We cannot be people who live by numbers and stats on a on the box
Totally
score. And
agree.
I'm glad to hear you say that, because my mouth gets me in trouble a lot of times when I'm helping my helping out with the freshman team that I coach with, or the AAU team in 7th and 8th grade, because I'm like, I don't care if we win this game. I really don't. Because especially AAU, we're going to have another tournament next week. So these wins and losses at this age don't really matter. So, but again, I appreciate hearing you say that, because now I know that I'm not crazy and that I'm not the only person in the world that feels this way. So, all righty. So, 4 years ago, like you said, you left Xavier, and now you come into a program like Miami of Ohio, and you take over as a head coach. There's always that moment of belief where you have to wonder, is this a match made for me, or with this opportunity? So when did you really feel confident that you were the right person for the job at Miami? And how have you gone about building the culture that reflects that vision that you had when you interviewed for the job and took that job, to be able to continue to build your program with those non-negotiables for your culture?
Yeah, number one, super lucky that they offered me the job. David Saylor, our athletic director at Miami. Um, Dwayne, I think like I knew pretty crystal clear how I wanted this place to look, smell, feel like from day one. I don't know if I knew that exactly when I was at Xavier going into being the head coach. It's kind of like the Xavier had been doing it a certain way under Thad Matta to Sean Miller to Chris Mack, and we just kind of kept it rolling, right? It had been working, and it was like, man, for me, Miami gave me an opportunity to do it exactly my way, and I was excited for that. Like I felt like it was a great fit on the front end, like just as far as um, the school, it's high academic. I felt like it really fit our family. And I told our athletic director, I said, hey, listen, it's probably going to take till year 3 for you to see significant growth with how we're going to build the program. But these are going to be our 4 core values. You'll see these come to life by year 3. We'll have a chance to win the championship, right? And year 1, we were terrible. The way, I mean, like we didn't look like all the other teams in our league, if I'm being honest. And Miami had not won in a while, so that helped me. Like just as far as they were super patient, right? Like they had not won in a long time, so they were okay with me not doing great year one. They were cool with it, and but I was laying that foundation. It's like building a house, right? You lay the foundation, and we're actually building a house right now, and the foundation takes the longest, right? It's like, God, you don't see the house being built, and it's like, man, what are we doing? Like, no, we're just making sure the foundation's strong, So my first 2 years were kind of that way. We got better year two, um, but I felt very confident in the direction of the program, even though maybe we weren't getting the results that the outside world wanted at that time. I really felt like we were building and heading in the right direction. Year three, obviously, won 25 games, set a single season record for wins in a season here at Miami. I mean, we were 3 seconds away from being in the NCAA tournament that year as well, and should have probably won that championship game. And but I felt like really good about the direction of where we were heading, man. Like I just the culture had really come to life year three fully all the way, and I felt like it was honestly it felt like back when you were a Butler.
Mm-hmm.
When, like, if I'm being honest, like I felt like it was like, man, like the competitiveness, the connectivity, the toughness, the ability to fight through adversity, the confidence, the belief that no matter who, like whoever you're playing, it's like, man, we're beating them. It's like, but it was earned through embracing the process, right? And just striving for more. Like we made those core values really come to life. And then that led into this past year where I think obviously then the nation started taking recognition of kind of what we had built over the last few years. But I give Miami a lot of credit, Dwayne, because they were patient with me. And I think in a world where everybody wants results yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
right? They were patient, and I appreciate that patience. And because I think so many people will say, well, hey, after the first 2 years, we weren't great. It's like, well, hey, they need to make a change.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
If you did that, then we're not doing what we just did. I mean, those first 2 years were super important for the last 2 years that we've had success-wise, right? Like, I mean, patience, again, that's, like I said, super appreciative of the patience that they've had and allowing me to build the program the way that I want it here and the way I kind of visualized it.
Yeah, and because you saw it, 2001, we were able to beat the Wake Forest and ran into that buzzsaw in Arizona. A couple years later, we end up making it to the Sweet 16. They go back to the Sweet 16 in '07. But then again, that foundation that Barry Collier put in, Thad continued, Coach
Yep.
Lake ran, and then Brad was able to be the one that actually almost crossed the finish line, right?
Darn
So
close, man.
about 6 to 8 inches to the right, but
Yeah,
so yeah, no, and again, it's great to see it because, like you said, they gave you the opportunity to do that, and like you said, people want results yesterday, but people also want results from work they didn't even put in that. So for you to
very
understand
fair.
that we've got to put in this work and coming into this, it's not always going to be, Sweet 16s and everything in our first year. It just takes the time, and I think you're building everything the right way, and you were able to culminate that into the season that you had last year, where the team was able to go uh, win every game in the regular season, and this was actually probably the first time and only the fifth team since the Larry Bird era in the '70s to go undefeated during the regular season. As you're going through that with your team, what did that journey teach you about the ability to stay prepared and being present with the approaching game without looking too far ahead down the road so as you have a letdown?
Yeah, I think I would say a couple thoughts with it. I would think come to mind. I think number one, you mentioned this earlier. I think everybody can learn from losses, right? I think the elite human beings and the elite teams learn from wins. That's what the championship level teams have the ability to do that. And our group did that. We had great player leadership. Great, not good. But I think how you frame things, especially for young men nowadays, is very, very, very important. I'll give you an example. So, like, what we would do kind of maybe after a couple, say once we got to about, I don't know what it was, 18-0, 19-0, whatever. Like, I'm really big into pictures and metaphors, and and trying to really set the table for our guys after every game going into the next game, just because we can't look in the past, right? So I would show like a picture of a guy driving a car with his hand on the steering wheel, and I'd ask our guys, I'd be like, "Hey, guys, what do you see?" And they say, "Well, I see a guy driving." I say, yeah, "Okay, well, think I need a little bit deeper than that, you know." And they say, "Well, I said, well, what's in the rear view mirror? There's a reason why the rear view mirrors are so small, right? What's in the past is in the past. What's behind us is behind us. Like the front windshield is enormous because we got to see what's in front of us. Because if we're not
Wow.
paying attention, right, we're going to run into a pothole or hit another car or run into an obstacle. And the games that are in front of us, that's what we have to focus on. We got to learn from the games in the past, right? That's why the reviews are so small. So then I would show, like, for example, maybe a couple wins later, I would show the same picture but with a guy holding the phone,
Mm,
texting and driving.
right.
And I'd say, well, what do you guys see now? And they say, well, I see this guy texting driving. It's not safe. I said, yeah, because they're what? Distracted.
Taking his eye off the ball. Yeah.
Yes. And it's like now you're starting to read all these news clippings of everybody telling you how good you are, right? Everybody's talking about, we're the last undefeated team in the country, whatever. And it's like, fellas, don't get distracted. You can't take your eye off the ball. You're going to whiff. So like just trying to always set that table for our guys. And we treat literally every game the same, Dwayne. I don't care who we're playing or where the game's at. How we prepare as a staff in practice is the exact same. I don't care if we're playing the worst team on our schedule or the best team on our schedule. And our guys know that. And again, because so many teams do ride that roller coaster, Dwayne. Like hey, this team's not as good, or I'm gonna take my foot off the pedal just a little bit,
Yeah.
and then you get humbled. You
It
know that
happens very quick. Yeah.
happens quick, and I thought we did a good job of framing things for our guys. We had great player leadership because as the season wore on, it just became bigger and bigger and bigger. I mean, like everywhere we were going, it was like a three-ring circus, man. It was sold out. It was everything. It was wild. It was a
Yeah.
wild experience. I'm glad our guys got to go through it and enjoy it. Because man, it was such a unique ride. Like you said, I don't know. You said there's 5 teams since Larry Bird. Is that what you
5
said?
teams since Bird. Yeah.
Man, that's incredible.
Yeah. You
Means
all
we have
did that.
really good players.
Yeah. Yeah, and I will say this, I love that answer. It's probably one of since I've been doing this over the last 5 6 months, that's probably my favorite answer that I've ever heard because as you're talking about it, I'm actually literally walking right through it with you. You talk about the rear view mirror, and then you mention why it's so small, and I'm like, yeah, because that stuff it's important to know what's back there,
Yep.
but you've gone past it now. You can't sit there. But then when you mention how big the windshield is, it's like saying this is your focus now. You got to be aware of what's going on all of this, not just this little bitty portion. I'm going to steal that from you. Okay. I'm gonna share that with all 5 teams that I work with. I'm gonna do that same breakdown. I'm gonna give them the picture of just the guy in the car, and then if things start to trend in the right direction, give them that picture of the guy with the phone because again that is a very powerful message that I think a lot of kids need to hear. And not just kids, but adults and everything because we are everything in life to me is a competition and it can all be approached with that same way. I've got to get better. I've got to stay focused on what I'm doing, whether that's the job that I have, whether that's me becoming a podcaster, whether that's me becoming a father or whatever it is. I've got to know where I came from.
Yep.
There's some movie, it was Cars, where Mater's talking about my rear view mirror,
Yeah.
right? He said,
Yeah.
as long as I know
Great movie.
where I've been, yeah. So again, I think that was a very powerful message. So I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah.
All right. So again, your journey's taken you through a lot of different roles, and as I said earlier, you've held literally every role that I've ever even heard of, being on a coaching staff. Right. I learned about the Dobo where as we got Brad and everybody there that freshman year, but volunteer, graduate assistant, assistant coach. But you've been able to work with, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of incredible minds. Coach Mata, your brother, Coach Gross, Sean Miller, Chris Mack. You mentioned your time at IU with Kelvin Sampson. Coach Woody at Ben Davis, as you mentioned. What is like? Would you say is the biggest lesson that you still find that you carry with yourself still from any of those?
Man, it's a great question. I think you take a couple things away from each of those guys, right? You know, like how systematic Chris Mack was, organized, an organized approach to all areas of the program, right? As far as like recruiting, development, offensive system, defensive system, a very, very organized approach, right? And then you got a guy like Thad Matta who's like this upbeat, like high energy. I mean, like, he made you feel great. And then you get like Kelvin Sampson, who like spend so much time with the players off the court,
Hmm.
and he would coach the heck out of those dudes. Man, I'm talking like, man, I mean, was very demanding, but he could be because he'd spend so much time with those guys outside of the off the court. They loved him. They'd run through a brick wall for him, right? I mean, literally run through a brick wall.
Right.
And so you take things away from each of those. I mean, each of my experiences, and because I've had like this running list, Dwayne. It's like things that I like that I've like, I really like that. I would add if I ever became a head coach, I would do this. I'm going to take that from Kelvin, or from Sean Miller, or Chris Mack, or Steve Whitty, or whoever it might be, and do that. But at the end of the day, I do have to be me, and because I like Kelvin Sampson. He's a one of one, for example.
Hmm.
You can't. Nobody gonna duplicate what he does, and if you do, you're not gonna be nearly as good as him, right? Like you
Right.
have to be who you are. I thought one of the best exercises I ever did, and I did it at the end of my Xavier experience, as I met with a marketing company, and this he's brilliant. His name's Jay Becker. He's phenomenal down in Cincinnati, BLDG, and they try to like decipher like who am I, right? Like so we kind of came, and it took probably, Dwayne, like, man, I mean, months to try to get like to the core of who I was
Right.
and how to explain that, right? Like, who am I? What are my core values? What do I live by? Because how do I make, and because you got to make those things come to life every day.
Hmm.
Like anybody could put words on a wall or say they're this or say they're that. And if they're not, and it doesn't come to life, then that's not who they are.
Yeah.
Right? Like who, and so I went through this process, and it was incredible to help me kind of figure out even more who I am. And I've been able to make that come to life here at Miami within our program, because as the leader of the program, as the CEO of the program, if I can't live it out every day, then there's no way in hell that the players can. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. Definitely. I totally understand what you're saying.
yeah, and like, so I thought that was powerful, and but like each experience that I've had, man, you learn a lot X's and O's wise, like teaching, like, I mean, I've been around greatest. I mean, Pat Kelsey, who's now at Louisville, and we worked together at Xavier. Luke Murray, who's now the head coach of Boston College. I mean, I've been around Mike Pegues, who's an assistant at UConn. I mean, like, just incredible coaches, man, that have all impacted my career in a big, big, big way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and like I said, it's the same thing I did as a player. I would work with, and the same thing I preach to my kids now is because we're in this world now where everybody's got trainers. We didn't have
Yeah,
that growing up, but I said I'll let anybody work with my kid. I'm very particular about you. You have to. Let me rephrase it. Not anybody, right? You have to have some kind of concept of what you're doing and
yeah,
know something. But I'll let any credible person work with my kids. And I said, hey, work out, take from this whatever it is you feel you can get from it, and all of that ultimately will go together to help you build the player you are. You may get one thing from this coach, you may get another thing from this trainer, you may get one thing from this strength coach, but all of that ultimately is going to turn you into the player that you're going to be. So I see it from both sides. Like we said earlier, everybody wants to get in front of college coaches. It's a different game today than it was, when I was coming out and everything. social media, massive AAU tournaments, kids everywhere, with the transfer portal, all of that and everything. But besides stats and highlights, what are some non-performance qualities that you're looking for when you're evaluating and recruiting players?
Yeah, I would say one of the first things we do is we get a transcript of a young man, and not that they all have to be 4.0s,
Hmm.
Dwayne, but like, okay, I'm going to see how many times they've missed class absences. I'm going to look at
Hmm.
the tardies, um, and because I want to know, I don't want to deal with headaches. I'm not doing it. Like
Right.
I, so we're going to start with the academic. Then I'm going to dive in, and we're going to talk to people at their high school, people that have coached them in the past, um, and I want to know who we are getting. So we always say we recruit people and not players, right? Like, and then we got to make sure that they fit our four core values. Because I could go get this guy that's 6'6". He's got a 6'10" wingspan, and man, he can jump high. And you know what, man? Like I have my core values here at Miami, and and he doesn't fit any of those. And am I going to just expect that this young man's going to come here and just become that? That's not going to happen. This young man's been living for 18 years of his life a certain way, whether it's right or wrong. And does it, so fit for me is everything. So we really dive into the intel of like who they are, do they fit our core values, what's their character level, can they handle the academic load? Because I don't want any maintenance. I want to coach basketball. I don't want to, this isn't daycare, like a babysitting. We're not dealing with that. There's too many good players out there now that we don't have to deal with that. So um, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, man. Like I'll be honest, like I'll ask random. So this is funny. Like this year, I went and watched a kid in Columbus, Ohio, and I was eating a Chipotle before the game, and I see a couple kids walking in, and they're wearing that high school name on their shirt. So I go over to them, and they don't know who I am. They're like, you know, and I said, "Hey, do you guys go to XYZ school?" And they say, "Yeah." I said, "Well, do you know this young man that I'm going to go watch tonight?" And they said, "Yes." So I said, "Okay." I said, "Tell me about him." Like just I'm trying to get information,
Right.
not with the people that they want me to talk
Right.
to give me the answers that they want me to hear. I'm trying to figure out like, hey, how's he with the trainer? How is he with the math teacher? Like, how is he? Is he like who is this person? Like,
Right.
I think that is so important because, again, we're going to spend a lot of time, as you know, when you're in college, man, you spend a lot of time with your teammates and your coaching staff. It's a family,
Oh yeah.
and I want to be super careful because we all get blinded with talent. We all do call it, but like I said, it's part of the equation, but it's not the equation. There's a lot that goes into the recruitment of a young man.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, you spend more time with those people than you do your own family. You'll talk
Yes,
with them way more than you talk with your own family because, and you in essence become family and you build relationships. Like I said, this here, you and I, we met 26 years ago,
crazy.
okay, right? And here we are now. So you're building relationships that are going to last for the majority of your life. I've known of Travis Steele longer than I haven't known of Travis Steele in my
Yeah,
life.
isn't that
So
crazy?
it is so. All right, but like I said, you've coached at every level. You've done the high school, the AAU, JUCO, D1. Again, you're doing an awesome, amazing job leading the Red Hawks out there in the MAC right now. But if you kind of compare what your vision of success was when you first started versus what you view success as in now, how would you define that?
Yeah, man, that's a good one. I think when I was a lot younger, Dwayne, I was so caught up in the result. Um, I was very, very caught up in the result. I think as you mature, get older, I think you become obsessed with that journey. I really do. Like yeah, I'm so different, even than I was like when I was at Xavier. Xavier, I probably got too caught up in the wins and losses, if I'm being
Mhm.
honest. Um, it's not necessarily about winning a championship. Like that doesn't, to me, I don't know if that's success. I want to help young people become better versions of themselves, right? As a person, hopefully as a basketball player, student, hopefully I can positively impact people's lives, as many people's lives as possible.
Right.
And like I said, pay it forward. I mean, I've had a lot of people help me. I know that, and that's our staff. That's other people that aren't even on our staff here at Miami. That's our players. I try to even help guys that go elsewhere. Like we've had guys leave here, and I'll try to help them and do whatever it takes. I I don't care that they're not here anymore if they decide to transfer out. I truly want to help them, and so that I was not probably I was not always that way. And so for me, it's more about the journey. It's more about helping people. And then the results will kind of take care of themselves, in my opinion, if you're doing embracing the journey and helping others, and if that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Because again, like I said, it is the journey. Because right now we are 44. You'll be 45 this year. It's the majority
I'm
of,
old.
yeah, very old. 50's around the corner. The majority of who we are going to be, we have already built that in everything we are now. So now it's about looking back on what got us here and being able to make sure that we're able to touch somebody else's life and change. Again, you're coaching. You're leading guys, and you are creating situations where you're able to change guys' lives forever. And hopefully you're able to change. Become something generational for them.
Yep,
So awesome.
that's
All
the
right. So
goal.
again, yeah, that was just kind of like I said. I wanted to just kind of sit back, look at back just across the journey, some of the different things that have gone into building you and the lessons that you've learned to be able to share this information. But I do want to pick things up with you a little bit here. So I want to do my little quick hitter segments. I'll give you a couple options. You can pick one or the other. Only thing I say is, hey, just you just can't choose both, right? So I'm gonna put you on the spot, and make you have to pick one. All right.
All right.
So now this is the cool part because you are now. So my first one here again. Take a deep breath. No wrong answer, unless you don't choose Kentucky. Here. So now again, you're an Indiana kid, as we clarified earlier. You're coaching in Ohio now. You've been in Ohio for a while now, but you're now recruiting in it. So you now see, and I had Darnell Archie on here a while back, so we had this debate. Um, you see, and also you're a product of it, Indiana high school basketball. You know the lore, and they call it the Mecca and everything. But now you're seeing it as a coach, and you're recruiting in it. The which would you prefer, the state of Indiana basketball legacy or the state of Kentucky basketball legacy?
I mean, we're really going to ask this question.
I'm a Kentucky kid. I have to.
I'm going Indiana all day long.
I
I know
know.
Darnell said that too.
Yeah. Nobody has chosen Kentucky. I had Maria Marcasano on there. She's the head coach at Butler women's basketball now. She's from Fort Wayne. She chose Indiana as well. So I
I
got to,
got to rep Indiana. I'm from
yeah.
Indiana.
So this is I got to start interviewing more people from Kentucky. That's what I've
That
learned. All right.
I would tell you that. Yes, yes.
Yeah. Awesome. All righty. So we mentioned your brother is a coach as well, and you guys have gone head to head many a times. But the real question everybody wants to know is, in a game of one on one, who wins?
Shooting, I'm gonna say he's gonna win. One on one, I got it.
You got it. All right.
Yeah, I got it.
What is one word that you strive to have people identify your teams with?
Connected.
Awesome. All righty. What is one achievement that, as a coach, that you're the most proud of?
Um, I would say when, and it's probably not just one, but graduation's a big one for me. When guys walk
Hmm.
across that stage, that's a big deal. That's a big, 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 big deal for me because that's life changing. It is for a lot of young men, and when you get that college degree, man, it opens up a lot of doors after basketball's going to be over because it's going to end at some point. Whether you're
Right.
40 or whether you're 30 or 25, you just don't know when, but it's going to end at some point. What are you going to do for the next 40 years of your life? So that degree really matters.
Yeah. All righty. So as you look back on it, on the younger version of yourself when you were first getting into coaching, what advice would you give yourself?
Ooh, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but I probably would have said, man, I wish I would have enjoyed my journey even more when I was younger,
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne, because I was always worried about what's next.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, man, like we just got to play when I was at Indiana, we're playing at Purdue, sold out crowd, awesome environment, like great game, two great programs. Did I enjoy that moment enough? No, I didn't. Because then I was always worried about the next thing, whoever we're about
Right.
to play, or
Yeah.
the next recruit. No, we got a big time commitment, and I'm worried about the next recruit. Or one of my guys got drafted, or playing overseas. We got to go to the next guy. It's like, man, like I wish I could have. I wish I would have enjoyed all the moments more. Because I've been super blessed and fortunate to be around, to have some incredible experiences. I enjoyed I've enjoyed my experience at Miami more than I ever have before because I understand now that it is really truly all about the journey
Mm-hmm.
and not just the end result because the end result's constantly moving. Dwayne. It's like
Right.
even if you win whatever you set out to do, it's like man, well then you got to do more and the more and more and we work hard, work really really hard. I'm super passionate. I think I work very hard, but man, I want to enjoy the people I'm around. I want to enjoy the moments, the bad moments too.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just the good moments. I love the bad moments,
Yeah.
right? Like we lost. I mentioned it to my brother in the MAC championship game my third year here at Miami, and shoot, we led for man 39 minutes and 55 seconds or whatever it was, and I actually enjoyed that moment in a way. Like it was good. Like I didn't want to lose. I mean, shoot, I wanted to
Yeah.
win, but it didn't take away from my enjoyment of the moment. Like whereas it probably would have 3 or 4 years before that, if I'm being honest.
Right.
And I just wish I would have. Man, I've been in so many awesome situations, and I just probably haven't enjoyed it enough.
Yeah, well, that's awesome, because I know we got our first one together, but I know that ring collection has really improved since we got that
Yeah.
one in 2001. So, all right, really quick, a game I'm gonna play called Recruit or Pass. I'm gonna give you statistics of a player. You tell me if you would consider recruiting them or if you'd pass on them. All right,
Okay.
first answer, first thing comes to mind. 6'8" player averages 25 points per game, but poor grades. Recruit or pass?
Pass.
All right, 5'10" point guard, 3.9 GPA, great leader, averages 8 points a game.
How many assists?
Yeah, doesn't matter. He's a leader. He's gonna run your offense again.
I'd
And
probably,
not saying offering him a scholarship, but
yeah,
recruit him to kind of
I'd
look
recruit
for
him.
him.
I'd recruit
All
him.
right. Uh, let's see. 5-star talent, but he's transferred 3 times through the high school or the early college process.
Ooh, red flags. I'd probably pass.
All righty. 2-star prospect who outworks everybody in the gym.
Usually those guys tend to figure it out, so I'd recruit them.
Awesome. All righty. Good deal. Like I said, I want to just kind of hit you with some quick ones really quick.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you doing that. But as I've told you, I'm working through this project. I got a lot of great people that are helping me do it to give me opportunity to talk to great people like you. But every episode, I do have one specific sponsor that is dedicated to that episode. So today's episode is proudly sponsored by Florida Sports Injury and Orthopedic. When injuries happen, whether you're a competitive athlete, a weekend warrior, or simply trying to stay active, having the right medical team matters. Florida Sports Injury and Orthopedic specializes in diagnosing, treating, and rehabilitating sports-related and orthopedic injuries within a patient's first approach. Their team provides expert care in areas such as sports injuries, joint and ligament treatment, orthopedic evaluations, rehabilitation planning, and injury prevention, helping athletes and active individuals safely return to the activities that they love. What sets Florida Sports Injury and Orthopedic apart is their commitment to personalized treatment plans and advancements in medical techniques and a deep understanding of the demands that athletes place on their body. So if you're dealing with an injury or simply want expert guidance on protecting your body and to stay active, Florida Sports Injury and Orthopedic is here to help. So to learn more, please visit their website. And we thank Florida Sports and Injury and Orthopedic for keeping athletes moving in the communities today. All right, T. Again, I appreciate you doing this. I know you're busy. So as we kind of wrap up the episode today, again, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this. It means a lot to me. Happy to see everything that you guys are out there doing. Happy to reconnect with you and just hear some of the stories that, even though we've known each other for almost 30 years now, some of the stuff I didn't even know. I knew it, but it wasn't actually always told to me. Like, again, I just saw you coming into the computer lab late at nights, didn't know that you were just coming from a game every time and everything. So again, I truly appreciate you, man. It's been 25 years, 26 years, and you were one of the closest people that I had. Many a nights you slept on my couch at my apartment. You actually taught me about that hidden 10-minute parking spot behind the business building
Yep.
that allowed me to leave my flashers on, come to class late, and leave early. So, man, I just appreciate everything that you've done for me and helped me through my journey, man. And I appreciate you taking the time to do this. It means more than I could ever say to you, man.
No, anything for you, man. I'm proud of you, man, and I love what you're doing. So I think
Awesome,
this is
man.
awesome, being able to help others and share stories, and hopefully somebody can take something out of like an episode like today. If there's one,
Yeah,
if it can help one person, man,
that,
it,
that is my
it's that is
goal.
so
Yeah.
impactful.
Yeah, I hear we focus off the motto. Everybody has a story that somebody needs to hear, So as if I can be that
Yep.
bridge to connect it, like you said, to that one person, and again, I've been able to as you mentioned, learn you for yourself. You've learned from a lot of people. I've been able to learn from a lot of people, and that's the people that I'm trying to get on here to be able to help continue share those stories and those lessons to the next generations. I've talked with Thad. I want to get Thad on here. You remember Brian Thornton?
Oh yeah,
Uh,
BT, he's the
BT
best.
is going to come on. I talked with him. Matter of fact, I talked to him over the weekend. He was in Minnesota. His daughter just won the national championship in volleyball. So
Get
shout
out
out
of
to the
here!
Thornton family. Yeah.
Wow.
Youth, AAU.
Yeah,
So,
that's awesome.
so shout out to the Thornton family. We'll get BT on here. I want to try to get a hold of your brother, get him on here, because again, I also like having people who help me with my journey. I don't know if you remember Shannon Patterson,
Oh
strength
yeah.
coach at Butler.
Oh yeah.
I've talked to Shannon about coming on it because these people have helped me, and I know they're still in these situations helping other people. So, like I said, if I can get to, I know Thad's got to get Thad tied down. He's retired now. I want to try to find a way to get a hold of your brother and everything. But I appreciate you coming on here. I think a lot of people are going to get something from this. So, as we close up, I want to give you the opportunity, to take the floor for anything you want to advertise or shout out or promote. I know Miami's got you're in summer right now, getting ready to get back
Yeah.
into it, but upcoming highlights you got for next season or anything that you want to shout out in social media or anything like that. I know you don't do a lot of social media,
Yeah.
but the team social media, we got to go out and support the Red Hawks. So anything you want to shout out, please take a chance.
Yeah, I would just say, man, just for everybody, just continue to be obsessed with trajectory over the results, and that's kind of what we are. That's what we're doing as a program. We've obviously been growing our program, but can we take that next step? And our group this summer has to press the reset button, and we can't skip any steps building this thing back up, and that is so hard to do. And but we're trying to continue just to grow our program, man, make this a national program, and Miami's a beautiful place, the nicest campus I've ever been on. Elite academics, and they're building us a brand new arena now, $257 million arena, and yeah, I'm here at the right time, but it's a special place, and I'm really really thrilled to be here. So I appreciate you having me on, Dwayne.
Yeah, man, and I appreciate you doing it. And just to show you how old we're getting, at one point in time you were recruiting kids of somebody I played against in high school.
Oh
That's
no,
how old. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, you were. And when I saw a kid from WEB Du Bois in Louisville came out to check you guys out,
yeah,
I was like, yeah, it's like, man, I'm this old now. You're
that crazy.
recruiting friends, kids of friends of mine.
Oh, it's sad. It's
Yeah.
sad.
So, but all right. So as we close everything up here, I want to thank the audience and everybody for taking the time to come out and listen to us today and just watch and sharing our stories. Thank you for spending a part of your day with us here on Beyond the Game, More Stories. If you enjoyed today's episode, I ask you please give it a like and subscribe, share it with somebody. That's how we continue to grow this podcast. We are on everywhere you're getting your content: Amazon Music, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. We're everywhere that they're delivering content to you. If you know somebody who you think something Coach Steele today said could benefit them, again, I ask you share this with them as well. If you want for more information on the podcast or anything that we're doing, you can visit us online at www.btgms.com. On there, we got all of our content, all of our information. We do have merchandise as well. Got this really cool shirt that we just recently promoted. This is my podcast shirt. Again, we appreciate all that you guys are doing. T, I appreciate you, man. But until then, I'm your host, Dwayne Lightfoot Jr. So for the audience, please remember that the games may end, but these lessons will last a lifetime. We'll see you next time beyond the game.